Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, by Hashem Rakah, Kodash, double honors to apostles of GMS, and sincere Shalom to the brothers out here pushing his truth and sincerity. And this is basically going into another anti-Israel protesting, whatever. I see it and I glance it and at least from the title, then I just move on because I don't really care too much until I re-glance at it again when it says "burn U.S. flags." I'm like, and then they chanting "Death to America." Now, that one actually typically caught me off guard, so I was like, okay, let me see what this is about, because I'm not surprised. I think it was just basically some crazy stuff going on, which is really not, but there was some interesting details that caught my attention, which made me also want to go into a video about this. So we're just going to go straight into it.
I would begin the first hour of Fox and Friends with this. This is unbelievable. Anti-Israeli protesters find the Hezbollah flag in front of the New York Stock Exchange. Yes, the terroristic flag located in Lebanon. They're chanting also "Death to America" in a few languages while marching through the streets of various cities in America.
Protesters jamming up traffic for.
Now I wanted to stop here because this one caught me, because this is what they used in the um, caption for this, and I'm thinking, okay, they just got this out of some movie. Until I actually watched it and saw this part, and it looks like it just came straight out of a movie, right? But the funny part is, and as I kept watching, none of them was arrested. So they could get away with this stuff, but the moment we say our usual saying, everybody got a problem with us. But let's keep going.
Hours on the Brooklyn Bridge, some even burning the American flag. Look at that.
Meanwhile, on the other coast in San Francisco, 38 activists were arrested after shutting down the Golden Gate Bridge for pride.
And in Chicago, travelers heading to O'Hare International Airport were forced to drag their luggage down the highway after protesters completely blocked access to main terminal. 54 people were arrested there.
It's unbelievable that this is allowed to happen. I mean, this is a day, and also, it's not even a day in which, you could say that there was a bombing of relief workers in Gaza. This is a day in which 24 hours prior, the country of Israel was under attack and was taken out and blocked most of those missiles and rockets by fellow Arab nations led primarily by Israel itself, us with about 80, and then you have Jordan and Saudi Arabia also playing.
Now, I wanted to stop here. Just a quick note before I also get some scriptures that they show you how stupid the American people are. This group, as far as I've seen throughout various videos, there's a bunch of more so flames into this. Well, I want to put to both protests really, but for the whole Arab thing, these are a bunch of flames trying to defend and say, or basically defend them. Meanwhile, that in that country, they don't accept flames. So you see how backwards this sounds.
A predominant role, as well as Egypt could have even played a role. But yet here in America, somebody's paying all these 20-something-year-olds to take the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas.
And that's the last part I wanted to get to. You heard it for yourself. Somebody's paying them, as they are for every protest, quote unquote protest, which means someone's behind this, and we already know who it is. They just don't want to act like they just don't either A, they don't know, or B, they just don't want to say it. But you got some people that actually do care about their own country, just in this place. That's why they want to live up in this psychotic place that upholds all these shenanigans. But this is the outcome of it. But back to the point, you know that this is they making money off of this stuff. You look at BLM; they was getting paid. Actually, there was a bunch of list of protests that was being funded. So we know how this all goes. and we know the outcome of it before it even happens. And we wouldn't be surprised if they started equating this to us. But this is still the cause rise inside this place, especially since everything's getting harder, money values going lower, and everything. Jobs are more jobs actually losing businesses now, actually even cutting off workers, or as I see in one clip, they shutting down their business altogether without the workers even knowing. So that's the thing, right? So let me go ahead and go straight to the scriptures. But I found the clip very funny as I was watching it. I wasn't gonna play the whole thing, but I was like, let me just get to the point. So this is Micah 5:10. It says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake." Now this is going back to what I was talking about earlier about how they can get funded and be just fine behind all this, but the moment we out there and telling things like it is, especially if we said the same thing, we're on the terrorist list. But they're not. Because why? Because the difference between us and them so-called protesters, quote unquote, is that we're doing this for a righteous fight for a righteous reason, and that we know our heavenly Father is going to come back and get us out of this mess. They're doing it just because whatever reason they get paid for it. So money talks louder than for them, especially since they're on Esau's side anyways. So how would they get in trouble? It says, "For theirs is the kingdom of heaven," as far as the ones that are persecuted for righteousness' sake. It says, "Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake." And that's what we always talk about when they say we're a hate group. But they out there burning the American flag. We ain't out there doing that. We just holding a sign. We just holding Bibles. But they'll always come at us because guess what? We're against this place just as much as they, I guess, they're getting paid to act like they're against this place. We're just not getting paid for it. We're just doing this willingly. Our payment is when we get out of this place. All right. It says, "Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." Right. So that's just to get to that part down. Now let's go further into this about the whole payment thing, because they won't say who it is, or they may not know, but all these things are funded, just like wars. Wars are funded, even the wars that are just kept on the low, that not nowhere near heavily talked about. They're funded too, because America's been at war for a very long ass time, and none of those wars anybody even knows about, but they are very much funded. Right. So this is Micah 2:1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand." So all these things come accordingly to how things are supposed to be. The Esau has his plans, the Heavenly Father has his plans. The Lord YAHAWAHSHI'S gave them that power to be able to use and abuse it the way they see fit, right? So if that means they gotta pay off a couple hundred people just to do one thing for them, why not? They did with the BGF family, gangs, and all this other stuff. And then on top of that, in all them protests, quote unquote, they have cops sitting there not doing anything, which means that you should have known they've been funded. Anytime you see something like that, you know there's something wrong here. You don't see us with cops. You see a certain camp with cops, but that's about it. But that shows you the difference between us and them. So at the end of it all, you're going to start seeing some crazy things going on. You would even It might be something like that, how the movie RoboCop was, when the police turned in all their badges, and who knows, they might go on the same spree as them, and they could be they could be faking it the whole time. So you'll see a whole list of events happening left and right, believe it or not. But it's hilarious how all these things happen. So the more you dig into it, the more you find out, the more you can go, you actually watch and observe, because that's basically our job, is to watch and observe and tell things how it is. And then you find a whole lot of stuff behind the backstory. And we're about to find out more. It's definitely gonna be more behind that, right? So I'm gonna get this last part right here. This is Isaiah 14 and 11. It says, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee." So all the in going to that pomp, it means the excellency, but where they and of course Esau, as he is finding this place to look more and more how terrible as it is. He knows the jig is up for this place. The whole point is to take this place down so he can make the new America. And Malachi 1 and 4 already counters all that, where he says, "He shall build, but I will throw down." So if his plan is to get rid of this old worthless place to build a whole new utopia in his name, then he's going to do it. Or at least he's going to try to. But the problem is all these other countries are going to try to do the same thing. They want this place off the face of the map. That's why all these wars, this war is actually starting to kick up further and further. And a lot of people don't see what's happening. They only see what's happening inside of here. And that's what's going to get them caught up. The protests are a distraction. Social media is a distraction. Your everyday life is just a distraction because you're not seeing what's going on outside of this place. Many people see the reports, hear the reports of World War III starting. Hasn't fully started yet, but they officialized it, and people don't believe it. Why? Because they still think that this place still holds a chance. When even the military says things have gotten soft for us. And then you look at this mess that you just seen here. You don't see no National Guard trying to de-escalate that. You don't see no police there de-escalating that. They burning the American flag, which goes to show you how weak this place has really gotten. So how much longer could this place actually last before it gets worse? I'm seeing, and I might do a video on it. I'm seeing, well, actually these two guys go into other parts of the states, like especially one of them that's actually still abandoned because of the police is no longer there, and they filming videos after videos about how they almost got robbed, got pulled out a knife on them and everything, started chasing them and everything, and there's no police there. So the whole illustrious illusion of this place is far gone. It's filth beyond anything you could imagine here now, especially quite literally, because you see trash everywhere. You see a whole bunch of people. Now I was at camp about 2 weeks ago. And I pulled my brother aside and like, look at all these cars out here. Literally nothing but cars. It looks like a freaking highway. And it looks like even in the movie you could see it. That once this place falls, you're going to see nothing but cars sitting out here. Now, the reason I pull that up is because you have... So I can give it a second. Here we go. So because you have a whole bunch of people out here with all these cars that's accessible, all these people got jobs, but when this place hits the fan, boom, all these cars sitting out here. People out here rioting, upset, losing money. Actually going to be actual riots out here. These protests are little baby things compared to what's actually really about to happen. These people protesting about a whole 2 countries that's not even, with this place not even evolved. And they over here protesting this stuff. But the real things that's actually sitting in front of these people's faces, they don't see. you only hear complaints, but you don't see people actually rioting yet. Because those actual riots, they're going to be the same ones out here shooting, robbing, and killing people for food. Because they ain't going to be no protests out for Israel, Gaza, or whatever's going on. You're going to see riots here. But that's all I want to go into. So, this is a little edifying with that. Shalom.